Hello, everyone, and welcome. My name is Professor Rhonda Wakeland, and I am an e-learning professor at the University of Arkansas for Medical Sciences in the United States. And I am so pleased that you are here with me today, and I can't wait for you to learn of the information that I will be presenting to you. So let's get started. So you're probably wondering what you're going to experience in the presentation today. So I won't bore you with reading the information that you see here. Take a quick look and then let's jump right in. Here are our learning objectives for today. By the end of our presentation, I hope that you come away with a better understanding of the importance of developing an inclusive online learning environment for your students. I would also like for you to be able to compare various pedagogical methods and then decide which one you think might be best for your goals and your objectives for your course or your activity. I would like for you to be able to analyze your methodology. Is the method that you're currently using working? Do you need to step it up and maybe try a different method? I would like for you to also think about strategy. It's very important to have a strategy and to implement a strategy as you begin your design and development process. And also too, as you go further and farther into this idea of using artificial intelligence into your online learning or even your face-to-face classrooms. I want you to be able to design your course with this newfound knowledge and understanding that you've gained today. What is a disability? Can you identify a disability by simply looking at someone? Sometimes yes, other times no, it's not that simple. Disabilities can take all types of forms. Sometimes they are physical. Sometimes disabilities are emotional or psychological. There are learning disabilities that might impact how a student learns. Anyway, my point here is that disabilities aren't always visible. We can't always see a disability. For example, PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. You might not be able to easily identify it, but when it's present, it can affect how someone learns and interacts with content and learning material. As an instructor, this can make our jobs very difficult. Being able to include learners with various disabilities can be a huge challenge. What is AI? AI is technically composed of data. Large data structures are composed by developers and build the foundations of artificial technology tools. However, I think here the question isn't necessarily about what is AI, but what AI can do. Given this question, this is a brief description, and I think for our purposes today, it's a decent description as it sets the tone for what we're discussing. One of the things that I struggle with as an e-learning instructor is accessibility. I work for a very large institution that houses over 3,000 students and nearly 10,000 employees. That means that I have a lot of people to consider as I'm designing my content. One of the things that I've learned is accessible content isn't just about a user-friendly interface. It must be accessible. Images, for example, must have alternative text. Headers and titles must be visible for screen readers, and various formats of the material must be available. Furthermore, we can't just set our content and forget about it. We must consistently and constantly review our materials online to ensure that they still work properly. Also, AI. If you're using AI, the data must reflect the diversity of all of its users to be considered genuinely accessible. So, as you can see here, there's a lot to think about when we're thinking about accessibility for everyone. Is it possible? That's a question that maybe someday we will be able to answer. But at this time, as we continue to strive on for that accessibility for all, We must consider these things when we are building and designing our materials online. I would like to now take a quick look at the 5 types of pedagogies that help serve as the foundations to learning methods. You're probably already familiar with each of these, so I won't go into details. However, you may ask yourself, how do I implement my pedagogical methods with current AI technology? And the good news is, designers and developers of AI have already thought about this and have attempted to make it easier for us to choose. On the following slides, we will discuss how to pair favorite pedagogical methods with the correct tool. In light of the various pedagogies we discussed on the previous slide, here are some examples of activities we can pair using various AI tools. For example, there are AI tools available that can provide your students with personalized learning paths. This type of AI provides students with the familiar constructivist approach, which enables students to build upon their current knowledge and guides them through the learning process. Same here is true with interactive and immersive learning, which helps build upon the collaborative and immersive approach to learning. You may find yourself questioning the actual benefits of using artificial intelligence for your students. But AI does offer us several benefits. For example, the knowledge building that we've discussed throughout this presentation. Also, as we encounter and welcome more diversity into our classrooms, AI also provides us with language and accessibility support, flexible communication channels, and culturally inclusive content. So, as you can see here, the benefits aren't just for individuals with disabilities. AI provides us with numerous options to enhance our online learning. Now that we've explored pedagogical methods and matched them with an activity, it's time to look at various types of AI tools to help us pull it all together. You might already have some ideas in mind of the types of tools that you might use to create the learning activities for your students based on your particular need. But I wanted to give you just a few examples of tools that you might want to explore. These tools can be easily incorporated and adapted to the pedagogical method and activity type you wish to utilize. What about statistics? What do the stats tell us about the benefits of incorporating artificial intelligence into education? Well, I hate to throw a bunch of numbers at you, but I looked at several studies and this is what I learned. And I think most would agree that they found that by incorporating AI, overall student outcomes were good. Now, of course, we should do more research, and I don't think that we should accept these results as final. However, I think early studies provide us with some idea of people's perceptions regarding the use of artificial intelligence for educating our students. So, here are some issues that I'm sure you all are familiar with and that you've previously heard of. And of course, as instructors, as teachers, we must be concerned with our students' privacy and security. And don't forget the information that you may experience in AI is information that's been added by human beings just like you and I. So AI could be subject to bias and bad information. We also have to be worried about a lack of human interaction. So as human beings, we're pack animals. We need to be around others. We need uh, stimulation and communication by our fellow humankind. So, in the essence and in the use of AI, we miss that. We lack that ability to connect with others and to learn from others. There's also an idea of creative license and ownership. Perhaps by generating information through AI, we lose a little bit of that ability to create our own material, our own artistic license or creative license, if you will. So there's a lack of ownership in the information that we use or we produce with AI. And plagiarism, as an instructor, as a professor, this is one of the things that I encounter a lot, and I consistently remind my students to cite their sources. Yes, even if they come from AI, artificial intelligence. I want to know where they got it, whether it's ChatGPT, wherever. I want to know where they received their information, and I want it cited. Opportunity. So, for some students, they may not have access to a computer, for example, maybe due to socioeconomic status, for example, or location. So that's where we also enter into that issue of access due to the digital divide. So, opportunity and access to digital divide. These are just a few of the issues that you see here that we may encounter while using artificial intelligence. And of course, and let's not forget, and this is the big one I think, is the cost. Because the price of some of these tools is very expensive, and it makes it unattainable for us or inaccessible for us to access or to get or to use. So these are some of the issues that we must consider as we look toward using artificial intelligence into our classrooms. Here are my final tips and takeaways. I want you to keep learning. I want you to become more familiar with the current AI tools that are available to you, not just for your students with disabilities, but for all of your students. And I want you to think about your pedagogy. And remember, it's not a one size fits all approach. Don't forget about your objectives and your goals. And that's for the assignment and for the course. And can they meet your current methodology and technology? Remember, your goals and objectives have to be able to mesh or to combine and to work well with those strategies and goals that you have set for your course using the technology and your methodology. Explore new techniques and tools to support your students' needs. And don't be afraid to ask your colleagues. Ask around. See what they're using and what they think about the new tools. And on this slide, you'll find a few references to the material that I consulted for our information today. Thank you for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed the presentation.